Alright guys, Jenvey here again, aka BAD6oy Jenvey, aka Satan. As always, I'm telling you to put your money in Wisdomtree CRUD. Links your money to the price of crude oil. Something as a monkey man, have you got these reptilians, separate species to you. They look identical to you. They are a separate species. We're going to look at some more reptile footage later of couple of famous reptilians. The thing you've got to understand as a monkey man, something you don't know, is obviously, I've talked about your politics, all that's nonsense. You're ruled by a king, the lizard king, which is King Charles. We'll talk about him a bit, we'll talk about the British royal family a bit more later. But something you've got to understand as a monkey man, a regular human, is that you are subject to propaganda all the time in the media. And it's designed, like the news and just the general media, it's designed to influence how you think. So at the moment I'm going to show you an example of propaganda. It's just come out very recently from the Financial Times. So if you're into finance, you might be interested in the Financial Times, and it talks about how the world faces staggering oil glut by the end of the decade. Energy watchdog warns. Well, and then you've got all this propaganda here, that just talks about it. When it comes to oil, if you say you Google oil prices and look at the oil news, you are continually subject to propaganda. It's all propaganda. The reptilians know about it because they've been told by their lizard king, King Charles, to put their money in Wisdomtree CRUD. So they know how important oil is to your global economy. Without oil, because your whole economy runs on it, all your cars and lorries and trucks and tractors and combine harvesters, they all run. You've designed them to run on crude oil, diesel and petrol. So your whole economy, and your jet engine that flies your planes as well, that runs on it. Your boats run on diesel. It all runs on oil. So the reptilians understand this, and the lizard king obviously understands it. But as a monkey man, you might not. And you might read propaganda like this that then stops you, this kind of propaganda from the Financial Times. That propaganda is designed deliberately to just unsettle you, make you nervous. So if you've got your money in Wisdomtree CRUD, linking your money to the price of crude oil, you then read that article in the Financial Times talking about how there's going to be a staggering oil glut, and you get really nervous. Under King Charles, you're going to see oil prices going up. You're supposed to be using free energy now. You're supposed to be, moving into doing that, free energy. So your economy runs on either ring of power, just wiring some step-up transformers together in a circuit, or you have another way of producing energy is the perpetual turbine, where you get a small electric motor and bolt it to a turbine to spin the turbine. Instead of using wind to spin a wind turbine, I've got an experiment upstairs that showed it. All I did was get a small motor, 12-volt motor, bolt it to a 48-volt turbine. 12 minus 48, you get 36 volts out the back. You get net positive energy, free energy. It's pretty straightforward. It's actually not complicated. But the aliens, the greys that have been ruling over you in a very ridiculous situation, these small 4-foot greys have been ruling over you, over your lizard king, haven't allowed you to use free energy. because they want to control humanity. I've talked about that before. They want to control humanity and have you working for them in the stars. However, they've now realised that's not how it's going to work, because the devil's on earth working for God. And the ones who are supposed to be running the show, well, I'm supposed to be running the show for God on earth. I'm like God's man on earth. You need the devil because you need a badass to kick you up the arse and get you in the stars, kicking the arses of aliens to get new earths. There's no point having Jesus here now, God's other son. You have Jesus here. He's a peace and love dude. And God's got a master plan. And you need a badass here now, and that's Satan, to lead you to glory in the stars. Lizard King Charles, he's a bitch, don't want to work with me, because, well, he knows he's going to hell, and he's pissed off at God about it, even though he's the one who sealed his own fate. But the truth is, he's just scared of meeting me. He don't want to meet the devil. He doesn't want to meet Satan and start working with me because he's a scared little bitch. And that's also the reason you haven't got the sort of space technology, like NASA. That's in America. We're going to talk about it more later. But all I'm going to say to the monkey man, put your money in Wisdomtree CRUD. You can see on a graph the price of crude oil is going up. It doesn't go up every day. They have spike ups, it spikes back down, but the general trend is upwards. Crud.l, just check it on your iPhone or your Android, whatever the stocks and shares app is for Android. Crud.l, which is Wisdomtree CRUD. L standing for lizard. You're gonna see them oil prices going up under Charles. Under Harry, when Harry hopefully gets to power fairly soon, you should see prices of oil come down, because I'm hoping he's going to want to work with me. But yeah, just be wary. What I'm trying to say to you in a very long-winded way is just be wary of propaganda like this. If you keep running your economy on crude oil, and remember, it's going to take a very long time to transition to free energy, because all your machines, all your cars and trucks and whatever, all run on crude oil. They all run on petrol and diesel. So transitioning them over to free energy, it's going to take a while. You're going to do that overnight. You've only got so much oil in the ground. You've got one planet, and until you get more planets, you're not going to get more oil, and you're quite some way from achieving that. So be wary of propaganda. You're exposed to it all the time, monkey man. You need to wake up a little bit and realise that Lizard Club, the Reptilians, do lie to you a lot. It's just how they are. They just try to mislead you and trick you a lot of the time. Not all Reptilians are like that, but a good few of them are. And their society is built on misleading you. It's built on misleading regular humans and tricking you in the media, little tricks they play on you. With stuff like that, it's just propaganda. So you've got to be aware of it. As long as you realise, when you look at the news, when you look at the headlines, be aware in your mind, be aware that this might be propaganda. Always be aware. Some of it won't be. Some of it will just be fact. Some of it will be like Man United beat Aston Villa 2-0. Yeah, some of it will just be factual, but a lot of it's propaganda. You need to be aware about this issue, especially when it comes to oil. Whilst you've got King Charles those oil prices are going to be going up. They're going to be, and they'll eventually go up a lot. And if you're not in Wisdomtree CRUD, you've got serious problems on your hands, because the price of everything's then going to go up significantly. You're going to see very high inflation. And don't allow, a lot of reptilians will talk to you and say, oh, no, put your money in crypto, or put your money in some other, stocks and shares. You want to be diversified. They'll try and mislead you. They'll try and lead you down the garden path, because they've been ordered by their king to do that. Remember, they're a separate species to you. So they're king, and they're ruled by their king. Whoever's the lizard king is the boss. And they follow his rule very strictly. I suppose because they feel without having a king, a dictator, there's chaos. This democracy stuff's a load of fucking nonsense. All that's bullshit. But all your reptilians, they'll go to vote. I mean, it does give you some freedom. There's some small amounts of freedom you get with democracy. Some small choices over policy. But the big decisions are down to the Lizard King, King Charles. And his son, William, as well. He's the king in waiting. I can actually show you a picture of his son at the minute. His cheeks are beginning to look a bit hollowed out. I'm interested. Tomorrow we've got the trooping of the colour. It's the king's birthday, King Charles's birthday, and I'm interested to see how William looks in that. We know King Charles is ill. So I'll show you a picture of William now. Picture of Prince William I just grabbed off the internet. Here, if you look at him, there's his dad. This is a very recent picture. You can see that loss of fat in his cheek. It's only slight. It's not, it's not mega noticeable, but he's losing weight there, and that is often a sign of that you're ill, when you're losing weight and your cheeks are going, sunken cheeks. It's not usually a good sign in terms of your health. It's got nothing to do with me. You'll say it's Satan doing it. No, it's God in heaven, the big man. He's the boss of everything, because he's the creator of reality. I just work for him. So there's no point them British royals getting annoyed at me. It's my job to get you into the stars. Star of David, have you heard of that? My name's David. It's my job to get into stars. So, and it's an important job. You need more planets, you need more natural resources. God in heaven wants to see you have better living standards. I mean, if you're in the West, if you're in the UK at the minute, you've probably got quite good living standards. I've got great living standards here. I've got a house. It's nothing flash. It's just a normal little house. I've got food, and I've got electric and heating and things I need. So I've got great living standards. I consider it that I'm living like a king. But there's a lot of people in this world who haven't got those things, and that's not good in God's eyes. And the only way you can really get it is get new planets. You've got to get new planets. So important. Those pair though, these pair, Charles and William, are unfortunately holding it up at the minute. I mean, the British Empire conquered the world. That's why your Lizard King is King Charles. But the problem with the British Empire, they achieved a lot of progression. They built these big galleon ships, and they sailed over the oceans and conquered, the world. Because in other parts of the world, like Aborigines and Native Americans, they weren't doing much. Africa, not a lot was going on. Whereas the British were building these big galleon ships, sailing across the oceans, and also doing things like, you know, the Industrial Revolution, industrialising. And all these things were very important. But since the Industrial Revolution, with the exception of the invention of the internet from Tim Berners-Lee, he was a British computer scientist, except for the invention of the internet, you haven't done much since the Industrial Revolution. The British Empire kind of just stopped in its tracks. They conquered the world, sailed across the ocean, which was a massive achievement by the British Empire. But they haven't done much since. They haven't looked out to space and tried to conquer space. Even though they had these greys that have, you know, they obviously were working for these greys, you know, under the rule of the greys, who have all the technology to get around the stars. And the other thing they did, they put the space program in America. America's just a colony of the British Empire. They had the American War of Independence. That was just a pretend war, really. We're going to talk about that later. But yeah, the British Empire stopped in its tracks. Just chose not to do anything, when obviously you need to go out to space. I actually view space as just another ocean. You got the oceans, you know, that are, you know, comprised of water, but I view the vacuum of space as just another ocean, and you need to cross it now and get these other Earths. But you have to fight for those Earths, obviously. I'm going to get them for free. And let's just say this: the British Empire stopped, and all the space program was moved to America with NASA. Also, a lot of the alien technology, like like flying saucers and stuff, kept at Area 51, is all in America, because the British royals didn't really want to deal with it. They didn't want it. They didn't want all that stuff, all that alien stuff that they're scared of. They're not scared of their greys now, because they've had it pointed out to them by a total badass called Satan. That they're not. You don't need to be scared of them. You need to work with them, obviously, to get across the stars. But they had all this stuff put in America. Well, we're going to talk about it later. Let's have some reptile footage now. First reptile we're going to look at is Robbie Williams. He's a singer from the UK, singer and dancer. I'm a fan of him, you know. I thought he was really good. Did some good stuff. And he's on the video is Robbie Williams, Let Me Entertain You, Nebworth 2003. So this was a big show for Robbie Williams. The channel is 007 Regent. Yeah, so Nebworth, Robbie Williams was under the pressure here. Massive show. So there's shapeshifts. I think they're fairly bad ones, because he's just under so much pressure and he's trying to give a really good performance, which he does. You've got to have that slow-mo, so important. We've got the normal speed, we've got the slow-mo speed. And I'll just draw the curtains. You see the reflection there. I'll just go draw the curtains. We're going to go to 330. Oh yeah, this one's quite severe. You see lines of green. You actually almost see the green reptile come out of his face. So he's moving his head, and you can see there's all this like greenness. The camera's zoomed out because they wouldn't have a zoomed in camera now because it's so apparent. Pause it again. keep pausing it. We're at 3:30 in the video. He's going to turn his head in a minute. Should do. Come on, Robbie, turn your head. Right, you see this? Keep pausing it. Oh, I missed it slightly. Just roll it back. He's going to catch it. Right, he's going to turn his head. You see that green? You see it all? Oh, it's just like a flash of green goes across his face. See it, and it, yeah, I mean that's a really bad reptile shapeshift. He's under a lot of pressure though. It's a big show, and he turns head and it's like green streaks down his face, because they're green. These reptilians are green. They've got the camouflage on there. Right, we'll go to the next one of Robbie. Same video. Oh, this one isn't actually Robbie. So Robbie's running along stage doing his you know, performance, and then we see the drummer's reptilian shapeshift. So he's got a drummer here. See this drum kit? His actual drummer on stage with him, you know, is a reptilian. So Robbie's running on stage. Now we want to focus on the drummer. So if we watch his face, you see that line down his face. Let's play it again. We're at 3, where are we? 354. We're 353. We're at 353. So ignore Robbie on this one. Watch the drummer. The drummer's feeling the pressure too. And he's just getting carried away with the performance as well, probably having a great time. Let's just see that line into his face there. See it? Green line. I think it's green. But yeah. I don't know if it carries on. Yeah, it's all his face all changing, going green. So yeah, that's that one. And we've got one last one of Robbie on this video. We actually see at 4:06. We're at 4:05. We'll play it from here. We actually see his reptile eyes. So if you look at Robbie's eyes at 4:06, watch his eyes. They're quite clear reptilian eyes. I don't think I caught it that well. You see they change colour. So those are his actual reptile eyes. You see them there. And then if you go along to, like, say we go have a look at his eyes further in the video, they're changed. Look, those are his monkey eyes, I suppose. Those are his normal monkey eyes. You see how they've changed from, we're at 4:42 there. Those are what his eyes look like most of the time. But getting in the performance at 4:06, he shows his reptile eyes. So yeah, so all that confirms it for me that Robbie Williams is definitely a reptilian shapeshifter. All your famous people are, all your performers you see, big stars on stage, they're all reptilian shapeshifters. Next guy we're going to look at is Robin Williams, the comedian. So we've had Robbie Williams, the singer. Now we're going to have Robin Williams. It was actually quite hard to get any shapeshifter stuff on him, but I tried my best. So we'll have a look at what I've got. Robin Williams. Robin Williams was harder to spot his shapeshifts, because I think when you're a younger reptilian and you're on stage and you know you're in front of thousands of people, you're more pumped up. You're not as experienced as being on stage. You know, it's like a rush of blood to the head. It's like, you know, you're more adrenaline, and shapeshift might slip more. Although the younger person has more energy in their performance. I mean, this is the thing. I think the reptilians need to come out really and just say, yeah, reptiles in it. Who cares? You know what I mean? So they don't have to worry so much about hiding their reptile features. You know, worrying about concealing the shapeshift and all that. But anyway, we're going to look at Robin Williams now, older performer. He's on stage doing a comedy show, stand-up. We're going to look here. We're at 2:19 in the video. It's Robin Williams, Weapons of Self-Destruction, 2009, high HD TV. Channel is Vows to Broken. Vows to BB Broken, whatever. You've got to have the slow-mo on, so important. And we're going to look just there at the sides as you begin to see the green. It's so slight, but it is there. 2:19 in the video. We'll play it. Watching here for his green scales sort of begin to shine through. Can you see this? They're just coming through a little bit. I've also got weird shapes up here, but you see that? So slight. We'll play it again. It's really quite hard. I think because he's an experienced performer. We see shapes up here on his head. We've gone to 2:15 now. Gone a bit further back. See shapes here in his head that look a bit weird. And then we see this green come through. So we'll play it. It turns his head in a minute. Right, you see this weird shape there. It's only tiny, you'd barely notice it. There's all this here. But there's that weird shape there. Right, I think we're going to see on here. See, it darkens a little bit. It's very hard to spot. But it is there. We're going to go to another video with Robin Williams, again live stand-up, and we're going to see some more stuff that he's a reptilian. So next, Robin Williams, the comedian. The video we're going to look at is An Evening with Robin Williams, live and uncensored, 1984, HD, digitally enhanced. The channel is Odd Socks Chris. This video is quite a bit younger, so I think that is probably the reason why his shape-shifting's a bit worse, a bit younger, a bit more nervous, not as relaxed, hasn't had as much experience on stage as he had done in the other video. And we're going to go to 935. Go to 3:2. I can only get it to 3:2. We're 932, but it occurs at 935. Again, we're seeing that ridge there. Well, that's common in the reptilians. Now we're going to keep going. The camera's zoomed out, I think deliberately so, because you begin to see his face looking a bit strange. See all these shapes on his head. see that there. Just try and... So I'm trying to work with this thing. Yeah, watch his head again. All this. See that? See it? I think that's why the camera zoomed out. And then you've got this here. If you can see that. So anyway, that's that one. Yeah, it was harder to get Robin Williams, but that last one I think is a pretty good one. And that's why the camera had zoomed out. They often do that. They edit things to edit out these shapeshifts. Because otherwise regular humans would say, well, why is his face gone green? You know what I mean? So yeah, Robin Williams, Reptilian shapeshifter, and so is Robbie Williams. So that's your reptile footage for this week. What we're going to talk about now. Now we're going to talk about the American War of Independence. So a lot of regular humans, monkey men, are going to think that well, they didn't realise that the British Empire still runs the world. And they might say, well, what about America? You had the American War of Independence. Yeah, that was a phony war, really. Britain deliberately lost the American colonies. It's nonsense. Britain never lost to America. It was all just done for show. So regular humans would think that America's an independent nation, when it actually isn't. If you're a reptilian, you know the British royal family control the world. Now, the reason it's been done this way is so the British royal family could insulate themselves. So, at the end of the, it's 1698, you had the invention of the first steam engine, which then was followed by another in 1712, the Thomas Newcomen steam engine. So the first guy who invented it, 1698, Thomas Savery. Looking at the invention of the steam engine here. 1698, Thomas Savery. And then a few years later, Thomas Newcomen developed a better steam engine. The Industrial Revolution, in my mind, and in God's mind in heaven, began with the invention of the steam engine in the UK. And that steam engine ran on coal. Now the British royal family was smart enough to know that eventually the coal's going to run out. If you build your whole economy on coal, at some point down the line, because it's a fossil fuel, it takes a long time to form, it's going to run out. It just is. Now, as it was, it transitioned from coal to oil, to crude oil. The economy first, the Industrial Revolution was started with a steam engine and it ran on coal. And then it transitioned to crude oil. Now, if you actually look at when the Industrial Revolution started, it'll actually put dates that are a bit later. But really, the Industrial Revolution began with the steam engine. That's when you had actual mechanised power at your disposal as a species, both monkey and reptilian. The British royals knew that coal would eventually run out, right? And they knew they'd have to restrict the economy's access to coal. the global economy. They knew at some point in the future we're going to have to restrict the global economy's access to coal, very important fossil fuel to the economy, right? And they didn't want to be the blame for it. They didn't want the regular humans, regular monkey men, right, who aren't as loyal to the British king as the reptilians. See, reptilians will just follow the king's order. That's how reptilians rule. They work in a very organised way as a team to make sure they're the ones that stay in power. And if you're just an average reptilian, your allegiance is to the lizard king, which is King Charles at the minute. But regular humans, regular monkey man, right, they don't have this allegiance to the lizard king. The monkey man doesn't even know it's a separate species, although he does now, because I've told you there's a separate species, reptilians, and there's monkey men, regular humans. He didn't have that allegiance, so that the royal families don't want you, the British royal family don't want you to blame them for this restriction to coal. And obviously it transitioned to oil later on with the combustion engine and things like that. You know, the steam engine, everything ran on oil eventually. So the whole point of the American War of Independence was to make the regular monkey man blame the American royal family for the restriction of crude oil. And the American royal family is the Rockefellers, but their actual boss is the British royal family, and the boss of the British royal family is the Greys. And you have the Roman popes still working behind the scenes, trying to advise the British royal family through the Germanic royal families, through the German royal family, which is Catholic, and the Spanish royal family, they're Catholic. The British royal family is really, in terms of who's on the surface of the earth, they're the boss. But their boss is the Greys, who are in space. Not so much anymore, because I've exposed that the Greys are shit at fighting, so why are you taking orders off them? It's supposed to be the other way around. The Greys are supposed to be working for us, not us working for them. It's utterly stupid. So yeah, the American War of Independence was at the end of the 1700s, American Revolutionary War, War of Independence, 1775 to 1783. It's just a show war, really. Britain was supposed to lose it, but the American royal family still under control of the British royal family. So the reptilians know that America is just another colony, still just another colony of the British Empire. And like the American armed forces and the American Navy are actually just part of the British Royal Navy and the British Army. They're just like an extension of it with a different name. It's the same for all the other armies of the world. They're all controlled by a lizard king, King Charles. That's the truth. It's hard to believe. For a regular human, it's hard to believe, but the reptilians all know this. But the mistake, I feel, that the British royals have made is they've gone too soft. Just like Rome went too soft under the Roman popes. So you used to have a Roman emperor, and Rome was all about being hard bastards, right? And then you had Henry VIII in the 1500s say, fuck off to the popes. I'm boss, because we're harder than you. You've gone soft now. Rome's gone soft, right? Well, what I'm saying is the British royals have gone soft, because they haven't been willing. They conquered the world, but they stopped there. You're not supposed to stop once you conquer the world. Then it's about conquering, you know, the galaxy and then beyond. And you've got the Greys there with all the technology. All you had to say to them was, well, you're a bit short and you're a bit skinny, so you're obviously useless at fighting. We're the boss of you. You work for us now. And they never actually did that. What they also did was they put all the space stuff in America, like NASA, and all the alien technology over there, because they wanted it kept at arm's length. And the reason for that is the British royals are pussies now, and they were just scared of the aliens. They didn't want to deal with them directly. I would bet my bottom dollar that King Charles has never actually met the Greys in person in a room, and that means he's a total fucking fairy boy bitch, basically. If you ain't got the fucking balls to meet the Greys and sit down with them at a table and start discussing how humanity, both reptile and monkey, begin getting out into space, you know, getting properly into space, then you're a pussy. And they were going to pin all the blame for rising oil prices as like some master plan of the Rockefeller family. The Rockefeller family have been long associated with crude oil. And they were going to get the blame for it. And you're probably going to have, well, the head of that family is actually Ariana Rockefeller, but they would have put into prison her father, who's, well, he's known as David Rockefeller Jr. publicly, but his actual real name is John Davidson Rockefeller IV, named after John D. Rockefeller the first, the original John D. Rockefeller. They've just named themselves 1, 2, 3, and 4, which I find quite funny. But whatever, he's number 4. John Davidson Rockefeller IV. That's his actual real name. I think he's just known by friends and family as Jay. His friends know him as Jay, I think. So yeah, that's how it is. The British royals, they were going to be blamed, the Rockefellers. And they were going to be blamed for all this problem with the hyperinflating dollar, mismanagement of the dollar under the Federal Reserve. That's the central bank of America. But what I'm saying is, like, that's nonsense. What we need to do, instead of doing all of that, which is totally stupid, right? We just need to start working with the Greys, U-turning the damage that's been done on this planet as well. We need to make this planet healthier, the oceans healthier, and the forests healthier. You get out planting trees, and you get out putting salt off a salt flat back in the ocean to try and raise the salt levels back up. And you start using free energy, so you're not pumping all this carbon emissions into there. As these trees grow, if you regrow your forests, those trees will absorb all these carbon emissions that you've pumped out over a long period of time. It'll take a while, but they'll absorb all this carbon that you've pumped into the atmosphere and reverse, you know, global warming and things like that. Reverse pollution. So this is what you need to understand. So I'm calling the British royals out as a bunch of pussies because you weren't willing to work directly with the Greys and put the space programme in the UK, and you weren't willing to sit down with the Greys and talk and just call their bluff, because they've been bluffing you that they're hard bastards. They have got fantastic technology, but without an hard bastard on the surface of a planet with a machine gun, big heavy machine gun, you're not going to get another Earth. And the Greys aren't. They're not physically or mentally equipped for that. You need badasses, badass soldiers to get new Earths, but you need the technology to get there. That's what you need the Greys for. They've got all that tech. Oh, I've got a good idea how a lot of it works. Obviously, because I'm Satan. So I've sussed out a fair bit of it. And this is just how it is. This is just the truth. I'm the voice of truth in the sea of lies. So yeah, the Rockefellers are the ones that are going to get blamed for the rise in oil prices. They'll get blamed eventually. But then what was going to happen was eventually, right, the Greys were going to come to Earth and then drop the British Royals in the shit. So that the British Royals were going to drop the Rockefellers. That they were going to be the ones that were blamed for it. But eventually, I think it was the plan of the Greys to just drop the British royal family in the shit over this. So the whole thing's ridiculous, right? You're supposed to have a Roman emperor, me, Satan, right, running the show. You're supposed to get working with the Greys. They give you some of their technology, but not all of it. You just get working with them, and eventually, you know, getting you Earths and sorting this one out. That's what's supposed to happen. The British royal family are holding it all up. They just had the trooping of the colour, if you follow the British royal family. But I don't think they're actually there. They've put photos out that they were there, but it just looks like a Photoshop job to me. I don't think they're actually there. They had the ceremony. They had the soldiers marching round this big square in London. But when I looked at it, the carriages and the cars and stuff are all empty. They've just photoshopped images in. They don't give a shit, basically. Well, King Charles and William, I don't think give a shit. But then they're getting killed off, aren't they? By God in heaven with cancer. So God in heaven's giving them cancer. So to get rid of them, it's been a pain in the arse. This whole situation, it's a bit ridiculous. You got the devil on earth talking out about the truth, and I'm totally been isolated. Like none of all the media is controlled by the Lizard King, who's King Charles, and the media. I've done free energy on this channel. I've showed you how that's done. That should be massive worldwide news, but it isn't, because King Charles doesn't want to work with me. That he's controlling the media to not expose that. They had free energy anyway at Area 51. They've had free energy for a good while, but they haven't released it to the public. Because the Greys obviously invented it ages ago, but the Greys haven't let you release it. Whereas I'm saying, don't take orders off the Greys. They take orders off us because they're shit at fighting, right? Lizard King, you need to work with me, and he's just refusing to. Being a complete pussy about the whole situation. He was a pussy in dealing with the Greys. He wouldn't just sit down with them and talk with them. So he's a pussy on that situation, and so were his predecessors. Although the Romans were no better. The Romans were no, but they were pussies as well. But back then they weren't telling you to damage the whole fucking planet. You know what I mean? The Greys wanted to run your planet into the ground and then come to the Earth as your saviours. To say to the Monkey Man and to Reptilian as well, we're taking over from these idiots now. The whole thing's stupid. It's just, you just need me as the boss, because I'm an hard bastard that's terrifying, and I won't take any shit from aliens or any other idiots. You know what I mean? With me as a boss, things are going to run a lot more smoothly. You might think, well, you're Satan. Yeah, well, there's got to be a hell, because not all of you are good. Remember that. God designed reality, and there's a hell there, and a guy to run it called Satan for a very important reason. Because some of you are just pieces of shit, and you don't deserve to go to heaven. Ever. So that's how it is. Something else, the moon landings. I've talked about the moon landings on this channel before. They were faked. They were faked, the moon landings. The whole point of it was to make the American state look ridiculous when it comes out. So the American royal family, the Rockefellers, and the American state in general just look like a bunch of lying pieces of shit. But it was all under the orders of the British King. And probably the Greys ordering him to do it. I'm not sure on that one. But it was all just to make America and the Rockefellers look stupid eventually. The whole society is just built on fucking lies. It's all just a load of shit. It's the truth. Anyway, I'll see you later. See you in the next one.